Imagine yourself traveling to the future on a 200 years journey, but wake up by mistake and live the rest of your life alone due to a technical failure. And so the film was started with a spaceship bound for Homestead, but it entered orbit, collided with meteors, and caused a malfunction on the spaceship. And the ship has 5,000 passengers in stability mode and 258 spacecraft staff. The power system is disrupted by the malfunction in the spacecraft. James wakes up by mistake due to the defect, and the welcome system talks to him and tells him that he slept for 120 years and will arrive on the planned homestead after 4 months. James receives his room, and the welcome system tells him that this room is for mechanics, and James rests a little, then prepares to start the first day on the spacecraft, and comes down to a room and sees no one, then goes to the main place and also finds no one, and sees the curse of the spacecrafts. He knows that he woke up because of a defect and sends a message to the ground, but the ship's system tells him that his message will reach Earth after 19 years, and the answer to the message will come after 55 years. And he's surprised when the worker in the bar, his ship looks like humans, and comes to him. And here the worker asks him what he likes to drink, but James knows that the worker is just a robot named Arthur, and James reads the book on the ship about the hibernation rooms and learns maintenance and tries to fix his room and sleeps in it, but all his attempts fail and needs the help of one of the employees, but the door of his room is closed. And James fails to open the door of the staff room and feels frustrated and succumbs to the idea that he will die a lonely old man on the ship. Barman Arthur tells him to enjoy and try all the fun things on the ship. James changes his room to suite and enters the games and movies and tries new food and continues like this for months, but gets bored, sees a space suit and wears one, and goes out into space and is tied to a rope in the ship and feels lonely and crying a lot. Returns to the ship and thinks to end his life and try to throw himself out, but runs quickly to the passenger's room and sees a girl from Travelers named Elena, and James likes to get to know her. Look at the files, and he likes Elena, but unfortunately he doesn't have a chance to see her because when she wakes up he'll either be old or dead a long time ago. He thinks to wake her up, but he doesn't want to ruin her life. But as the days pass and the loneliness he feels, he decides to wake her up and cause a malfunction in her room. Elena wakes up and James runs so Elena doesn't see him when she wakes up. And then we see Elena looking for anyone on the ship, and then she sees James and tells her everything that happened with him, that they'll get to Homestead 90 years later. Elena goes to her room and James goes to Arthur and asks him not to tell Elena that he woke her up. And the next day Elena wakes up looking for any solution to help her, and James tells her that he tried everything but it's useless. And we know that Elena is a writer and she writes about her experience on the spacecraft, especially since she is with a stranger. She goes to James to talk to him and write about him and ask him why he left Earth, and tell her that humans on Earth, if things break down, they buy instead new things, but on the plant homestead they can fix it, and he works as a mechanic and will build the plant homestead. And Elena tells him that the company Homestead takes a huge amount for everyone who travels on this ship, and that she wants to travel to Homestead and then return to Earth, as if she had traveled to the future. She wants to write about this journey, and people read her story. Then she asks him how to get rid of boredom on the ship, and James takes her to the gym and movies and introduces her to Arthur. And then Elena goes to sleep, and James asks her to go out with him on a date. Elena agrees and they go out together and go to the bar and the restaurant, and James loves her beauty dress a lot and they talk about their lives, and James and Elena wear a spacesuit and go out together into space and see that they started to love each other, and then they live together in the same room for a whole year. Then when Elena in the bar, Arthur the barman tells her that James woke her up, and Elena gets so shocked, cries, goes to her room. James tries to apologize to her, but she doesn't hear his words, and then she goes into his room and she wants to kill him. But she goes out and leaves him, and she lives her life away from him. And one day, James talks to her on the spacecraft microphone and apologizes to her. He says she doesn't know what his life was like when he lived for a whole year alone, and he loves her so much. But if time comes back, he won't do what he did. Elena says that she doesn't care what he feels, and he destroys her life. And James tries to make her happy and to plant a tree for her to remind her of the earth. And Elena sees the tree and rejoices a lot. And then a voice appears through the microphone asking who planted the tree on my ship, and be the captain of the ship, who also woke up because of malfunction and knows on James and Elena, and take them to the staff room, which James tried to open. Then Commander Guest sees that there are a lot of malfunctions and beings to examine it, and sees that Elena's room was not disrupted by a malfunction and was disabled manually. Elena tells the commander what James did to her, and the commander tells her that she should excuse him and understand what he felt when he lived alone. And then James sleeps, and Elena jumps into the pool, and a big malfunction in the spacecraft, and it crashes gravity, and James flies to the top place in the room, and then suddenly returns back gravity, and James falls on his face, and Elena comes out of the pool, and Commander Guest tells them that the problem is gravity, so they may not reach the plant homestead, and they are now on a sinking ship. They go to the main maintenance place, and Gus tells them that the systems have not been able to identify the defect, and they must discover the defect manually. And suddenly, Gus loses consciousness and takes him to the medical survey room, and we know that he will die and has 612 disease, and asks them to leave him to rest. And the problems increase on the ship, and then return to Gus and see him wearing the captain's clothes, and Gus gives the commander's parcel to James to enter anywhere in the ship, and tells them that they have to find out the bug and fix it. And then Gus dies, and James and Elena run to the maintenance place, and they see Arthur doing strange things, destroying himself and destroying the power, but they can disable it. And then they get to the maintenance and check it, and discover a place on a ship full of pits, and Elena falls hard outside, but James saves her, and they discover that the malfunction is in the computer that controls the engine, and replaces it quickly. But the engine heat increases a lot and needs manual cooling, and James wears a spacesuit and gives the commander's parcel to Elena. And he comes out to cool the engine, but sees Elena crying hard and asking him to come back to her, and she will not know how to live on the ship without him. And James gets out of the ship and goes to a ventilation gate, and James sees that the gate is closed and must stay inside so that it does not close again, and in this case the heat will not come out. Elena is afraid and doesn't want to release the hate because James will die because of it, but James tells her that they have to do it for the lives of the 5,000 people, and then she listens to him and pulls the engine that will release the hate, and they succeed. And the hate comes out of the gate, but the hate pressure pushes James out of the gate, and the rope that connects him to the ship breaks, and Elena sees him and wears a spacesuit, goes out to save him, and brings him back to the ship. But while the rope went out, there was high pressure in the spacesuit, and the oxygen ran out, and James couldn't breathe. And Elena quickly took him to the medical survey room, saved his life, then returned normally to the ship. And then they said goodbye to the Commander Guest and left him to swim in space. James sees on the medical scanner the option of hyperventing and sees it to Elena and tells her that he will bring her back to hibernation again, but there is only one device. But Elena doesn't accept because she wants to live her life with James. And then we see them at the bar, and James offers Elena a wedding ring. 88 years later, all the passengers wake up when the trip arrives on Homestead, and here's an audio recording of Elena telling them what happened, and during the time they hear, they watch what James and Elena did on the ship when they were alive, and see that James and Elena lived their lives on the ship and then died, and that's where the film ends. Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive everything new. Miss Lambada was with you. Goodbye, my friends.